Georgia's 7th District.
Well, good morning, everyone, and it is truly a blessing and an honor to be with you here this morning. What an amazing program that we have and you're able to witness, and I'm so glad to join you. Thank you to the Bloomberg School for gathering scholars and thought leaders here and inspiring the next phases of change. Mayor Bloomberg has proved to the country that when we see an issue and we come together for a cause, all worthy causes, we can bring about change and we can save lives. The reason that I do this work, like so many of you in this room, I'm sure, is because it's personal to you, as it is personal to me. For years, I raised my son and watched him grow up in my home state of Georgia. I watched him thrive in a neighborhood full of kind and loving families. Jordan played with neighbors until dusk in our front yard, and we often visited with friends for weekend activities and Sunday dinners. And like many parents across America, I believed the schools and communities our family lived in created a safe and a secure place to raise a child. And I watched as Jordan grew into a caring and compassionate young man who was truly dedicated to making the community around him a better place to live. But on Black Friday in 2012, Jordan was sitting in the back seat of a car with 3 of his friends as they stopped at a gas station convenience store for some chewing gum before driving to the next mall to go shopping. A man parked next to them and complained about the loud music that they were playing in their car. He called the boys gangbangers and thugs, telling them to turn down that thug music because he couldn't hear himself think. Within 3.5 minutes, the man grabbed his gun, took a shooter's stance, firing 10 shots into their car. 3 of those bullets killing my son, Jordan, instantly. And this man claimed that he was standing his ground. And Jordan was only 17 years old. The phone call that I received that evening from Jordan's father telling me the fate of our son shattered me. It shattered my entire world. For a year or so, I was overwhelmed with grief. And I don't know how many of you here are people of faith, but for me, it was truly my faith that kept me from succumbing to that darkness. My faith and my love for my son helped me to use my pain to seek justice for Jordan, to help other families like mine grapple with their new normal, a life forever burdened by the ache of a loss of a loved one cut down by unnecessary gun violence. But I refuse to let that grief consume me. I was unwilling to let this tragedy be the end of Jordan's legacy. I worked hard to turn my pain into progress. And by doing so, I was asked to help other victims as the spokesperson for Everytown for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I traveled this country to testify before state legislatures, but also speak with survivors in the immediate aftermath of their tragedy, when they were mourning from their loss and reeling from the devastating truth that this country's gun laws had let them down. Of course, I couldn't have been given this voice and impact without the encouragement and the network set up by this incredible organization and leaders like Shannon Watts, John Feinblatt, and of course, Mayor Bloomberg. Everytown for Gun Safety gave me an opportunity to sound the clarion call for gun safety, taught me how to be an advocate, and provided me the space to fight for others. The nationwide calls for gun safety we now see have been strengthened on all sides with Mayor Bloomberg at the helm of a movement to demand that we can do better. We have to do better. We must do better. And so come 2018, I ran for Congress on gun sense policies in a district that was once held by Republican Speaker Newt Gingrich. And it may come to no surprise to you that many people tried to steer me away from this path. They told me that a black woman couldn't win in Georgia running on a campaign for gun safety. Well, they were wrong. We knew that. This organization knew that. We could win on this message everywhere. I won in ruby red Georgia because everyone wants their kids to be safe. No parent, grandparent, aunt, or uncle wants a child they love to hide under a desk during a lockdown drill when they should be learning about reading and writing and arithmetic. I am proud to say that in the 6 years since I have been sworn into Congress to represent the grand state of Georgia, that we have seen historic progress. We passed the first comprehensive gun safety legislation package in more than 30 years. We passed that into law, which included parts of my extreme risk protection order legislation to empower law enforcement and loved ones to act if a person is in crisis and they have access to guns. I helped to secure $500 million in community violence intervention funding for organizations that are doing the important foundational gun violence prevention work every single day in their communities. And the Biden-Harris administration created the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. Currently, I lead 2 pieces of legislation to regulate the most lethal weapons, the assault weapons ban and the Go Safe Act, both vitally important steps forward in our work to keep weapons of war out of the hands of people who should not have them. Through the work of this historic bipartisan measures that we have taken in Congress, these actions taken by this administration and the advocacy and research championed by so many of you in this room, the tides of America's dangerous gun culture are changing. It has been 12 years since I lost my Jordan. As my family just marked our 12th Thanksgiving without him, the pain is still very raw and very real. And still, more than a decade later, parents all across America are terrified that they will send their children off to school and never see them come home. Terrified that one day they'll be like me, or the thousands of other families also that are grieving the loss of their loved ones to this vicious public health crisis. Parents and children, educators and public health experts all have said over and over again for years that enough is enough. This gets to the heart of why we're all here today, to use scientific research and data to answer the call of families across this country to end gun violence. Our work to legislate for safer communities on Capitol Hill would not be possible without the data-driven work that so many of you here are committed to pursuing. I feel my son's legacy every single day in this work and in your work. And I am immensely proud of what we have accomplished together. A future free from gun violence truly is our hope. Thank you for continuing to fight. And I'm absolutely certain that our efforts are not in vain. Thank you, and God bless.
Please welcome Mayor Muriel Bowser, Mayor of Washington.